If you spend any time at all in the world of business or leadership, you have absolutely heard of Good to Great. But here's the thing, it is not just another motivational leadership book. Not at all. It's a landmark study, a deep dive that took years to figure out one single question. What does it really take for a company to achieve lasting excellence? Today, we're going to break down the hard, evidence-based research behind its timeless ideas. And this quote, this is the entire book in a nutshell. It's the big idea. Jim Collins argues that being good is actually a really dangerous place to be. Why? Because it's comfortable, it's safe, you're doing fine. But that comfort leads to complacency, and that is what stops most organizations from ever taking that difficult, sometimes scary leap to become truly great. And this is so important to get. This isn't just a collection of cool stories or opinions. Collins and his team spent 5 years on a super rigorous research project. They sifted through decades of data, looking for the blueprint, the actual physics of what makes a company great. They weren't looking for inspiration. They were looking for cold, hard facts. So, this was the central mystery they were trying to solve. They took these companies that made this incredible, sustained leap to greatness and compared them against very similar companies that, well, didn't. And what they found wasn't some magic bullet or secret sauce. It was a systematic, repeatable process. Okay, so here's the framework that their research uncovered. We're going to see that greatness isn't some overnight success story. It's a process built in 3 really distinct phases, and it all leads to this incredibly powerful compounding effect at the end. Let's dig in. So let's start with that foundational idea we just talked about. Most companies, most organizations never become great for a really simple reason. They're already pretty good. Performance is solid, the lights stay on, and that comfortable reality just becomes their seal. So the crucial first step, the starting line, is actually a choice. It's a conscious decision to say, you know what, good enough isn't our goal. It's about committing to a higher standard no matter how tough that journey looks. So once you make that commitment, where do you even start? Well, what the research found was kind of shocking. The first step has nothing to do with strategy or vision or what you're going to do. It all starts with who. This is phase 1, disciplined people. The research team, they expected to find these larger-than-life, charismatic celebrity CEOs running these great companies, but they found the exact opposite. Every single company that made the leap was led by what Collins calls a level 5 leader. These quiet, often shy, humble individuals who were just relentlessly driven for the success of the organization, not for their own personal glory. And this duality, this is the key. These leaders are incredibly modest. When things go well, they look out the window to give credit to other people or even just good luck. But when things go badly, they look right in the mirror and take full responsibility. And at the same time, they have this absolutely fierce, unwavering resolve to get the job done. And this leads to probably the most famous idea in the whole book. Level 5 leaders, they don't start by figuring out where they're going. They start by getting the right people on the bus and, just as important, getting the wrong people off the bus. It's only after the team is right that they figure out where to drive it. Why? Because if you have the right people, you can adapt and go anywhere. Okay, so you've got the right people on the bus. Now what? You can move into phase 2, disciplined thought. And this is all about developing a brutally honest and intensely focused way of looking at your reality. This is such a powerful idea. It's named after Admiral Jim Stockdale, who survived for years as a prisoner of war. And he said it was the optimists, the ones who kept saying, we'll be out by Christmas, who died of a broken heart. Greatness requires both things at once. You need that unwavering faith that you will absolutely succeed in the end, but you also need the discipline to confront the cold, hard facts of your reality right now. So what this means in practice is creating a culture where the truth is actually heard. Great companies encourage real debate. They conduct autopsies on their failures without blaming people so they can learn. They build systems where reality can't just be swept under the rug. Now, this brutal honesty is the foundation for the strategic core of the book, which is called the Hedgehog Concept. It's all about finding one simple, elegant idea you can be the best at, and it's found where 3 questions overlap. Let's start with circle 1. What can you realistically be the absolute best in the world at? Not what you want to be the best at, but what you truly can be. The second question, circle 2, forces you to get crystal clear on your finances. It's not just about profit. It's about finding that one key metric, that single economic denominator that has the biggest impact. For a company like Walgreens, they figured out it was profit per customer visit. Finding yours is absolutely critical. And finally, the third piece of the puzzle. You simply can't sustain the long journey to greatness if you aren't deeply passionate about what you're doing. And this can't be some manufactured passion. It has to be a genuine, deep-down drive. The great companies, they operate right in the sweet spot where these three circles overlap. All right, this brings us to the final phase where the rubber really meets the road. Once you have disciplined people and disciplined thought, you are finally ready for disciplined action. This is where you execute with relentless consistency.
Now, a culture of discipline might sound like bureaucracy and micromanagement, right? But it's actually the exact opposite. When you have disciplined people who deeply understand your hedgehog concept, you can give them freedom and responsibility to act within that framework. You don't need to manage their every move.
And what about technology? So many people think tech is the magic answer. Well, Collins has a very specific take on this. Technology never ever causes greatness. It's only an accelerator. If you're already moving in the right direction, sure, tech can help you go faster. But if you're a mess, technology will just help you become a bigger, faster mess.
And all of this, every single piece we've talked about, leads to the book's big climax, the flywheel effect. The research showed that the transformation from good to great doesn't look like a big, dramatic event from the outside. There's no single breakthrough moment. Instead, it's like pushing a giant, heavy flywheel. That first push is incredibly hard and it barely moves. But you keep pushing, consistently, in the same direction. And slowly, momentum starts to build. The wheel spins faster and faster until its own weight is working for you. This is the complete opposite of the doom loop you see in average companies, where they're always reacting, launching some new program, and creating cynicism when nothing ever works.
And here it is, the whole thing in one place. You can see how it's a coherent system, right? Each step builds on the last. It's not just a random checklist of ideas. It's a sequential process for building an engine that creates excellence.
So after all that, what's the one big thing to take away? Well, it's the uncomfortable truth of the book. Greatness is not mainly about vision or charisma or even getting lucky. It's about discipline. Disciplined people engaging in disciplined thought and taking disciplined action consistently over a very long time. And that leads us to the final, really challenging question for any leader out there. The ultimate test of your leadership isn't how the company performs while you're there. It's how it performs after you're gone. The real goal is to build something so excellent, so disciplined, that it thrives long after you've left the building. That is the path from good to great.